The objective today is to decide if code is worth protection under current copyright laws. So at the end of this tutorial, I'd like you to tell me if you think code should be copyrightable. A really easy way to get to the bash shell where these shell commands will be useful is to go to the desktop GitHub page and click the settings icon, open in Git shell. And that is if you've already downloaded the desktop app for GitHub. You can download this on your laptop or the school computer that you sit at here in class. What we've not started is doing massive collaborations, so as you learn a little bit of the Git shell today, keep in the back of your mind that the true purpose of Git is not for web hosting, but for collaborating and working together at a really high level. In progress, you're learning more and more about Git, and then what you've completed is making commits in Git and thus publishing your website. Today is day one of a two-part lesson actually, so you'll go through a series of exercises using Git and then answering that question if you think code should be copyrightable, especially seeing how easy or difficult it is. That depends on your opinion. How easy or difficult it is to get code to save using Git. So, to review real quick, there was one type of Creative Commons licenses that I did not mention when we did that Day 7 Creative Commons lesson. I did not go into detail about CC0. So you can probably guess what this means. It's also known as just straight public domain. But when a work is in the public domain, it is free for everyone for any purpose without restriction under copyright law. The public domain is the purest form of open/free since no one owns or controls the material in any way. And you'll typically see either of these two symbols, the 0 or the slashed out mark of the copyright C. So, I want you to type in this URL. It says Git allows groups of people to work on the same documents, often code at the same time and without stepping on each other's toes. It's a distributed version control system. Think right, share. What is a distributed version control system? And definitely use the sentence starter to sound smarter. So a version control system is, and then you answer. Another think right, share for you. Should the whole group get in trouble if one person violates copyright? What protections can Git provide to protect you individually? So as we're manipulating and messing around with some code today, don't forget that the entire objective, the purpose, is for you to answer if you think code is copyrightable or not. You will get your first exposure today to the command line, and this is a very cool, a very professional way of doing things. This is in contrast to the graphical user interface that you're used to on the GitHub website itself. As one student said, I'm learning the way that code works together and how code is very simple to implement, but can get very complex when you try to string many codes together. So something like the command line would really help this student in terms of taking things piece by piece or just focusing on one thing at a time versus the overwhelmingness that the graphical interface can give you. Or just the idea that the graphical interface requires you to click all over the place, clicking back, clicking a link. On the command line, all you do is type your commands and things happen so much faster. So while you're on that website, here are the 8 questions you need to answer. And don't worry, they're not too big questions, so you should be able to get this done pretty quickly. It says here, what does Git init do? What information does Git status give you? Add sends something to the staging area. What does commit do? What does the star represent? What does -u tell Git to do? What happens when you enter git checkout -- angle bracket target angle bracket? The rm command is in Git and Linux. Same guy made both, don't forget that. And what does this command do? Last question, what does the tutorial mean when they say clean up after yourself? After you type in this link here, you'll go to a website that looks like this. Okay? And then you just follow the directions at the top here. So it says, Git allows groups of people to work together on the same documents. Okay, we've covered that. Our terminal prompt below is currently in a directory we decided to name Octobox. To initialize the Git repository here, type the following command. And so this thing is called the terminal. You may have seen it before. Git uses bash. So git init initialized empty Git repository. So going back to this first question, where's the question? What does Git init do? It apparently initialized empty repository, so it created an empty repository for you to use. Alright, the next set of instructions, checking the status. Good job, as Git just told us, our Octobox directory now has an empty repository in /.git/. The repository is a hidden directory where Git operates. To save your progress as you go through this tutorial and earn a badge when you successfully create it, head over to the Create a Free Code School account. We'll wait for you there. Next up, let's type the git status command to see what the current state of the project is. Alright, so if you want to sign up for an account, we'll be using this today and tomorrow actually. So creating an account and having badges is pretty cool. Okay, git status. What does this do? On branch master, so that should look familiar to you. Initial commit, nothing to commit. Create that /copy files and use git add to track. So I created a file called octocat.txt in the Octobox repository for you. As you can see in the browser below. Okay, I see. So here's the file name, or the file, and there's the name octocat.txt, which is inside the .git file. The title here, my Octobox repository. Oh, there's a little piece of advice here. It's healthy to run git status often. Sometimes things change and you don't notice it. And I bet that's especially true if you're working in a large group. Okay, I did not want to go through every piece of that website. I wanted to give you time to get as far as you can with that. Just know that numbers 1 through 5 here are the bigger questions I want you to answer. They're important, and some of them are really just simply review for you. Let's make 6, 7, and 8 just extra credit if you could get that far. Again, the whole point of you going through the Git terminal is to understand that organizing your documents and organizing your files of code can be done so much faster than the way we have been doing it. If you want to see how real programmers use Git, you can go to this link as well. This is a different website, but it does an even better job at showing you how the real programmers are using Git in order to work together. Okay, so the last thing we need to do before the DOL and then IB question today is to go back to your copyright website on GitHub, and let's just create the navigation bar. So if you remember, you'll go to index.html there, and then copy and paste this code exactly into your index.html file. And I'll say this one more time. I'm sorry if you are tired of hearing it, but this is the important part, okay? I say here that my point with the Git terminal today was something that takes this long, creating a web page with multiple tabs, even when they are blank tabs, okay, is very time consuming. So should that time be honored with copyright? With that in mind, go ahead and approach the DOL. Do you think markup language creations such as HTML and CSS should be copyrighted or should be protected under copyright law? I saved the IB questions for the very last thing today on purpose. That way you can have a smooth transition into that DOL. And now go ahead and reflect on your thinking, pick one of these questions to answer, and you're done for the day.